President-elect Trump is wasting no time when it comes to making good on his promise to impose tariffs on foreign nations to get them to alter their behavior. Last night, Trump announced that he would slap major new tariffs on Mexico, Canada, and China on his very first day in office. 25% on goods made in Canada and Mexico, 10% on products made in China. Trump said he'd do this in response to migrants crossing into the U.S., as well as the failure to stop the flow of drugs like fentanyl into America. Mexico's president, Claudia Sheinbaum, reacted today that she would have no choice but to retaliate if Trump imposed the tariffs.
A un arancel vendrá otro en respuesta.
For every tariff, there will be a response in kind until we put at risk our shared enterprises. Yes, shared. For instance, among Mexico's main exporters to the United States are General Motors, Stellantis, and Ford Motor Company, which arrived in Mexico 80 years ago. Why impose a tariff that would jeopardize them? Such a measure would be unacceptable and would lead to inflation and job losses in both the United States and Mexico.
The Chinese embassy in the U.S. also responded, saying, quote, "No one will win a trade war." Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau said he spoke with Trump on the phone later and said he'll hold an emergency meeting with Canada's provincial and territorial leaders. The economic consequences of these tariffs could be enormous, involving multiple industries, consumer goods, and groceries. Put together, last year, China, Mexico, and Canada bought more than $1 trillion worth of U.S. exports, and they sold nearly $1.5 trillion worth of goods and services to the U.S. So to help us understand more about what's happening, we are joined by economist Mary Lovely. She's a senior fellow at the Peterson Institute for International Economics. Mary, thank you so much for being here. We should say that we do not know if Trump is going to go through with this threat as he stated it. But let's say he does, for the sake of conversation. Mexico, Canada, and China are enormous trading partners of ours. If these tariffs get slapped on, what does that mean for businesses and consumers?
Yeah, it's great to be here with you, William. I think in a word, what it means is nothing good. So these three trading partners are about 1/3 of all our exports and imports. So it's an enormous part of the business that we do. And clearly, if he goes ahead and puts these tariffs on these imports, we are going to see a number of important ramifications, first for businesses and for consumers. For businesses, obviously, higher costs, supply chain disruptions, and possibly the movement of investment out of the United States or away from the United States. For consumers, higher prices at the cash register, and as we've shown in previous work, a burden that will fall more heavily on the poor and the middle class. So really nothing good coming out of these tariffs.
Which industries, products, kinds of things in particular would these fall most heavily?
Well, it depends. If you look at Canada, we're going to be looking at crude oil, because President-elect Trump hasn't said if he's going to have any carve-outs, lumber, aluminum, even uranium. But of course, we always have to put at the top of the list autos. The North American automobile industry, Canada, US, Mexico, is fully integrated. Some vehicles cross the border more than 7 times before they get onto the auto lot, dealer's lot. So that tells you something about how integrated these production processes are and how truly disruptive a 25% tariff would be. When we add in the fact that almost surely Canada and Mexico will retaliate in kind, we're looking at an enormous increase in the costs of building an automobile in North America.
And if those tariffs fall on Mexico, what kind of product or supply chain disruption could we see there?
Well, interestingly enough, aside from autos, Mexico has become a more and more important supplier of electronics and electrical devices. And sure, some of this is investment from China, but it's investment from many U.S. friends and allies. And in fact, Mexico is an important middle country, third country. It's one that has really assisted us in moving supply chains away from China. So it has a certain irony that we would place tariffs on imports from Mexico when they're really a very important player in the move to diversify U.S. supply chains and increase economic resilience.
Your particular expertise is in China. Do you sense that China would similarly retaliate?
It's a question this time, William. We saw that China was careful about how it retaliated during the 2017-2018 trade war. It retaliated in kind, but moderated. It stopped when the U.S. stopped. Right now, China has its own problems. It has a weak domestic demand. It has soft employment, so it's trying to increase jobs. Trade war with the U.S. is definitely not something that it welcomes. So I think the Chinese will think long and hard about whether they're going to retaliate. They could always choose to retaliate by blocking exports of the things the U.S. is still very dependent on them for.
I mean, Trump is threatening these because he wants China and Canada and Mexico to change their behaviors vis-a-vis migrants and drugs coming in. Now, it's a completely separate conversation as to how much ability those governments have to do those things. But if the economic pain of these tariffs are as severe as you say, do you think that that's going to dampen Trump's ardor for them?
Oh, yes. I think the markets today really basically shrug this off. I think there's a big discount on whether he'll actually do it, given the economic stakes. So I think many people believe that this is a form of opening negotiations, trying to force these countries to shoulder more of the burden of border patrol and of drug interdiction in particular. Of course, it does ignore all the progress that we have made in both of these areas. For example, Customs and Border Patrol now focus their fentanyl efforts mainly on the southern border, believing that fentanyl is coming in basically across the border, oftentimes in motor vehicles, as opposed to directly from China. We've also seen U.S.-Canada make enormous progress in bringing down illegal migration through the northern border. So a lot of progress is being made prior to President-elect Trump taking office. So it's really hard to see what more these countries will do. I'm sure they'll talk to him and try to find ways, but it's one that we've seen before from President Trump. We saw it in his first administration.
All right, Mary Lovely of the Peterson Institute, thank you so much for your insights.
Thank you.